What is up, guys? I hope all is well with you. I'm here in Cork sipping on some salted caramel green tea. Good stuff. So, for those of you who don't know, I just moved into a new place in Cork and it is beautiful. It's fabulous and I'm delighted to have moved, and yeah, it's a really nice place. You know, I've got my own little office here, my own little study. I bought this desk. It's like an antique desk and it's just so beautiful. Like, I know some people get excited about cars and clothes and stuff, but this desk is honestly like probably one of my favorite things I've ever bought. And there's my bookshelf, loads of books, so it's just really nice to have a space of my own where I can come and work and study and record videos, etc. So it's a good feel, man. It's a good feel. So obviously I moved in with my girlfriend Laura, so we're here in Cork, and while we're on that topic of Cork, today is the 1st of August 2019, and that means that the CAO Round Zero offers came out today. And for those of you who don't know, I was applying for the CAO, which is the Central Applications Office for those of you who aren't Irish, which means that I was applying for a college course. And for those of you who are unaware, course accepted, CK791, graduate entry medicine in UCC. So I got it, I got my first choice. I'm absolutely delighted. Now, to be honest, I don't often get this excited, but I'm pretty damn excited now, because, you know, you gotta be proud of yourself every now and then, and you're allowed to do that. And I'm pretty damn happy about this. So for those of you who aren't aware, I just finished studying physiotherapy this year. So that was my undergraduate degree. And this time, 10 or 11 months ago, I was on placement in Piedmont Hospital. And there was a couple of young doctors there. And being in that environment, within the hospital environment, I had always on placement, I'd been inspired by, you know, watching the doctors work, seeing the type of work that they were doing, and just having that kind of like additional oversight and additional insight into the patients and their presented conditions. And you know, growing up like that wasn't me. Like, I was never that type of person. Like, you know, the way you have those kids and you're like, oh, they're going to be a doctor, or you know, he wanted to be a doctor since he was 5, or you know, or your parents are pushing you into that type of stuff, or you're regarded as that student in school who, like, oh yeah, they'll probably do medicine, you know, they'll do that well. Like, that was never me. Like, I was never that type of person. So gaining that exposure throughout my physiotherapy education to you know, that hospital environment, to what healthcare actually is, what it involves, it inspired me to gain more of an interest in that. And that was obviously fostered initially by getting into personal training. Like, that's what got me into all of this, was, you know, helping people get fitter, stronger and healthier. Like, that's still what I love. Like, that is the core of what I enjoy doing. And that initial interest is what actually fostered that desire to understand more about health, and more about medicine, more about pain, more about all of these different interlinked things that essentially manifest as modifying someone's human experience. Because that is my overarching interest, I would say, is like how we live our lives, how we can best live our lives, how to minimize the suffering that goes along with that, and how to you know, facilitate people to live in the best way that they can, with their own interests in mind. So like that's like the central theme of my interests, and that's why you'll see that I'm kind of interested in some things related to like philosophy and stuff like that as well, and I share a lot of things that are not healthcare related at all, because they all tie in on this one theme of like, how can we best live our lives, you know, whether that be the eradication of a certain disease, or whether it be thriving through, you know, strength training, or through what some might call, like, you know, self-actualization, like trying to become your best self and, you know, explore creative endeavors or whatever it might be. You know, that's what I'm interested in. So that's essentially how I got here. So, you know, on that placement, I spoke to one of the young doctors, two of them actually. Paddy follows me, and he's a great guy. I'm not sure if you watched my video, but if you're watching, Paddy, thank you for that additional inspiration. But But yeah, then obviously I made that decision, did the GAMSAT in March, so I had to prepare for the GAMSAT during my like final year of college. I didn't prepare as much as I would like. For those who are unaware, the GAMSAT is essentially the exam that you have to sit prior to getting into medical school, whether that be in Ireland, the UK, Australia. The US have the MCAT, so it's a little bit different, but the GAMSAT is exclusively for graduate entry medicine. So the difference there obviously is when you do undergraduate medicine, you go in straight from school. So after you're leaving cert, you go into medicine, you do a 5-year course. Whereas graduate entry medicine is a 4-year course that you do after you already have an undergraduate degree. So the GAMSAT is essentially a 7-hour exam that you sit. It's knowledge and reasoning based, so it's not an aptitude test, because a lot of people think it is. It's not an aptitude test. It's knowledge and reasoning exam, and it essentially involves 3 sections, the first of which involves reading comprehension, and that could include things like poetry, it could include an excerpt from a medical journal, it could include something from a newspaper, some sort of story, a philosophical account, etc. So it's kind of reading comprehension based, and it's pretty damn tricky. Like section 1 was pretty damn tricky because you essentially have to almost know the meaning of all of these abstract words that you would have never heard of, and then you're like, you have to, you could get a question like, there could be a sentence, and then you have to try and derive the emotional state of the person saying that sentence, and like it'll be multiple choice and they all kind of make sense. So it's a damn tough exam in that sense. And the second part of the exam essentially involves essay writing, so you have to write about like socio-cultural issues, or political issues or personal issues. So they're essays to, I guess, assess your ability to reason the world around you and to have awareness of what is going on in current affairs. I think I wrote about something related to politics and partisanship. It was something to do with trust. Was it trust in the government or trust in the media, or public trust is eroding, something along those lines. And I wrote all this stuff contrasting like Donald Trump and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Twitter and social media and all that sort of stuff. So, but that's just an example. They're the types of things that you're writing about. And I think the second one was something to do with happiness and work and how you derive. I think, yeah, it was happiness and work, something along those lines. And I wrote, what did I write? I wrote something about a contrast between Karl Marx's perspective on work and free time and Adolf Hitler's perspective in terms of his, like, the concentration camps and how work was experienced there. The different experience between work there and work in a job that is meaniful, that you have, that you see purpose in, that you have autonomy in. And I was talking about things related to some of Jonathan Haidt's discussions in the Happiness Hypothesis. That book, he talks a lot about work and how we derive meaning from our work and stuff like that. But there you go. They're just some examples of what was going on there. And then part 3 of that exam is a science-based section. So that's based on biology, chemistry, physics, and you have to be able to reason your way to the answer. So that's kind of the tough bit about the GAMSAT, is like you can learn things off, but if you can't reason, you're not going to do well. And that was tough. So yeah, overall exam really tough, but got my results then a couple of months later, obviously, and I was pretty happy with the result that I got. I was actually kind of surprised, but up to the point of today, I was still unsure whether or not I'd get it, because UCC is a small class and they have the highest cutoff out of the colleges in Ireland for medicine. So I was kind of like, oh god, I'm not sure if I'm going to get it or not. And I was only going to take UCC, like I wasn't going to take any other offer, because I'm in Cork and I don't want to live away from Laura, because that's just an additional barrier in my life, our life, that I don't need. so yeah, so that's how we got here. So I'm pretty damn happy now, to be honest. And in terms of like how that then blends with triage, like obviously that's the question probably on the front of a lot of people's minds, is triage will be continuing absolutely as normal. Like we will be continuing to, like I'll be continuing to coach and do my writing duties and social media and all that sort of stuff as normal. Continue developing products, educational products, training training products. We're bringing out some training templates very soon. I'm working on those today. So you know, we're continuing to push on triage as normal. So nothing will change there. Essentially, the long-term goal will be to essentially use the education and the knowledge and the experience gained through studying medicine and through training as a doctor to build that into our business ventures with Triage, because our long-term goal has pretty much always been consistent, and that's to, you know, empower people to live, you know, the best lives that they can live, but largely through trying to act in some way that we can bridge the gap between kind of personal training and healthcare. So trying to not trying to directly extend the scope of personal training, but to level but to act through, you know, knowledge and education and helping personal trainers grow that, helping individuals to grow that, so that it's easier for people to understand, or to be able to liaise with people in the healthcare industry, to be able to elevate the bar for personal training, so that overall the fitness industry is essentially more reputable. Like, that is our ultimate goal, is to, like, not necessarily to have a business that, like, through which people are referred from, you know, the hospital to the gym. Like, that's not necessarily the direct goal. And the goal is more so like that theme, like that's essentially what we want to help out with, and that's a collective endeavor to some degree, and that lots of other people are essentially doing the same thing. Like, any time that we work on helping personal trainers and helping the fitness industry to level up, like, as we work on that goal, we level up the quality and the standard of personal training and the standard of the fitness industry, and the higher that goes, the more likely that personal training and fitness professionals will be regarded more highly among healthcare professionals and medical professionals, so that there's a better working relationship there. Because ultimately the key problem here that I guess, if you were to get to the core root of the issue that we need to solve, or are trying to help out with solving, it's the fact that, you know, chronic disease, chronic non-communicable disease, lifestyle related disease are the main barriers to health in the modern world. You know, they're the big problems. So they're the problems that are never going to be fixed with like a specific drug. It's more so like mass behavior change and environmental modification that's required, and obviously, like, consulting with fitness professionals that are, you know, really good at their jobs, that can help you when you're dealing with a bit of pain, when you're dealing with obesity, etc. That's all part of that process. So yeah, that explains essentially part of our triage mission statement, and that's how me studying medicine essentially filters in to that picture. So I won't be going anywhere, in case you thought that I'd be leaving triage by any means. Absolutely not. Like, that's absolutely my core investment, in terms of, like, we are going to continue building triage, and nothing is changing there. So there you go. That's my story for this morning. Anything else to add there, I guess? So obviously then, in terms of like lifestyle change, like, obviously my personal lifestyle is going to be more difficult to manage now that I'm going to be studying medicine. So that's going to be really interesting from a vlogging perspective, to show you guys how I live in a way that is healthful, in a way that I can get my training in while studying a degree that is going to be very intensive, you know, in terms of like versus physiotherapy. It's going to be very intensive, in that physio wasn't a particularly hard degree. I know you need a lot of points to get into it, but in terms of actually studying the degree, it's not that challenging. Like, in terms of hours and everything, it's not too difficult. And even like the content that you're covering, it's never that intensive. You don't have to, like, learn off that much. Like, not that learning off things is good, but, you know, it's obviously a big part of medicine. In physio, like, there's just not a whole pile of that, and once you're finished second year, you don't really have exams, you just have assignments and placements and stuff. So time management in physio is definitely a lot easier, and it's going to be a lot more challenging now, especially as triage gets more successful and we have more to be working on along the way. So yeah, it'll be good to take you guys along. So obviously I am living in Cork. In terms of jiu-jitsu, obviously I started jiu-jitsu in Killarney with Wilson De Silva, or Testa, in Movement Fitness Club Killarney, or BJJ Killarney, and yeah, so I started there, and I'm going to be moving now to BJJ Cork. So that's my plan, to start in BJJ Cork. I might actually go along today if they have a class, I'm not sure. And I'm also going to have to join a gym here, obviously. Motivated Fitness Club in Cork is quite a nice gym in terms of like the machines they have and stuff, because if you follow me, like I love machines. So I'm not sure, I might try get a membership there. I need to get a bike today. And yeah, I guess, you know, I'll take you guys along the way, show you the good times and the bad. I'm sure there'll be lots of times where I'm stressed to my tits while studying medicine and doing exams and doing triage work and training and trying to eat well and trying to sleep and have a good relationship, etc. So that's the crack. I'm gonna leave it at that, guys, because I just wanted to have this as a video that, you know, I guess you could call it a vlog, but I'm basically just sitting in one place. So there you go. But I know people do like to, you know, hear these things about like what's going on in life. So yeah, and obviously that gives you insight into what we're looking to do with triage in the long term too. Not that I'm just going to get the degree and like ditch it right away, because obviously I'm going to do my medical training afterwards. Like you have to do your intern year, and then you do your basic specialist training, etc. And then we'll see what happens after that. You know, I don't want to plan too far into the future, because your plans, like, they generally don't work. You know, you can't create this forecast of the future. I don't know where I'll be in 10 years, but as long as it is towards that vision that we kind of described, I think I'll be happy. And you know, even if it's not, that's okay too. Once we kind of keep moving forward, you know, I'm a big fan of that idea that, you know, people are so overconfident about predicting where their life is going to be in the future, and I'm not a big fan of like having a long-term goal. I'm a big fan of having a long-term philosophy to some degree, in terms of like having a guiding path or something that you're working towards, like more so an idea or an overarching theme rather than like a specific goal. You know, it's just not that easy to predict things far in advance. You don't know what will happen. You don't know how your perspective might change, what opportunities might pop up along the way, etc. So yeah, goal setting for me is like, I think it's overrated. Like, I do and I don't, in that, like, what I'm talking about is having an overarching theme that you follow, or a philosophy that you follow, rather than having like a specific thing that you're going to do at some specific day in the future. You know, because people often do that. They're like, you know, and I used to do this as well. Like, if I was to be like, all right, in 15 years I want Triage to have 5 gyms, and I want us to have a supplement company, and you know, I want to be doing online consultancy as a remote GP or whatever. It's like, yeah, that's fine. Like, that's a fine goal to work towards. But what about in 8 years, when you actually have an opportunity to do something with Triage and collaborate with X, Y, and Z, and that happens to take you down a better path? You're not going to accept it? Like, of course you would, which is why having some sort of guiding philosophy is useful. And how specific your philosophy is depends on who you are. Like, obviously, personally, like I know that, or at least I think I know that health and all those things I talked about are the central thing that I'm most interested in. But for you, like, it could be even looser, or it could be even more specific. So that's the thing, you know, people like to give advice about how you should or shouldn't set goals, and like, it just doesn't matter. Like, there's no best way. But that's my thought process. So there you go. I'm gonna wrap that up, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and if you have any questions or anything like that, drop them down below. I know loads of people are gonna ask for like loads of advice, like, not loads of people, but anyone that is doing the GAMSAT are gonna ask like, oh, what are your top tips for preparing for the GAMSAT? And I really don't have any. I just don't. Like, people were very kind to send me resources when I was studying for it. So if anyone is studying the GAMSAT and you need resources, I do have some. Just drop me an email, gary@triagemethod.com. But I definitely didn't prepare as well as one could, and there's lots of people on YouTube who actually give legit advice, but I didn't study for it as much as I could have. And even at that, because it's a knowledge and reasoning exam, I didn't get that much out of my preparation. Like, I felt like a lot of it was kind of like wasted time, because it ended up being like mostly reasoning, as in you kind of have it. But obviously, like that's obviously the result of like you having, you know, read a lot in the past and being aware of what's going on in the world, because otherwise you can't really write much about like sociocultural issues if you don't know like what's going on, like what's going on in the world around you. So, but yeah, there you go. I'm not a GAMSAT expert, as I said, but hopefully you enjoyed this video. Hopefully you got something from it. As I said, questions, comments, etc., drop them down below. There was a good response to the last video, so I'm delighted to hear that you guys enjoyed that. And yeah, next video we'll get back to some actual kind of vlogging. You know, might show you some food, might show you some training, and have a fantastic week. And remember that it is too easy. See, I used to always say, you know, be happy, and I gotta kind of try and get the two of them in there now, like be happy and it's too easy. And also, like some people have criticized the idea of, you know, the whole be happy thing, because like the goal of life isn't just to be happy, etc. And I agree with that, and I think the emphasis on like happiness and self-esteem and stuff can be a bit pathetic sometimes. Like that's not essentially your goal. Like if you wanna be happy, like I don't know, just don't go to work today. But like, where's that gonna get you, man? But yeah, so like the whole like be happy thing for me is more so about kind of gratitude and appreciation of like the luck that I have in life, as in like being born in Ireland at the time that I did, rather than, for example, in Belarus and having a disability and being in an orphanage. Like that's what I always think of when I hear, or when I say, or when I look at my tattoo, and be happy. It's not just about like, oh, do whatever makes you happy. It's about, you know, be appreciative and be grateful, and put a smile on your face today, because you know you're probably in a pretty damn good situation, and life is better when you don't complain. So there you go, check it out, be happy, and yeah, see you in the next one.